Lay down. Lay down. Hi, my name's Caitlin, and I am the owner and founder of Little Women Creations. Welcome to my first YouTube channel video. Really excited. I've been wanting to start a YouTube channel for a while, and it's kind of hard to do when you're working full-time. So everything that I'm doing is during my free time. It's my side hustle, my side business, and I just wanted to share some tips and everything with you. So the idea of my channel is for crocheters, knitters, fiber artists all across the board to be able to get any sort of tips with marketing events. I'm going to do a couple of crochet and talk with me, so we're going to be talking about some topics. I'm not sure yet if they're going to be only associated with crochet and knitting. I might do some political topics, some controversial topics, just to kind of hang out, chat, get my opinion, get to know me a little more. I'm also hoping to be releasing some crochet patterns. So along with my crochet patterns, I also want to do tips and tricks with crocheting in general. But I want all my videos to be able to just, you can sit down, turn on your video, and just get going on your craft. So with that in mind, I'm going to pick up the market bag I'm working on. It is off of Ravelry. I'm going to put the link in the bio so you can go and do this pattern if you want to, if you're looking for something to work on. But today we're going to be talking about frequently asked questions for market and market prep and in-person markets, all that fun stuff. So I have my list here of topics I asked on a couple different Facebook groups, on my TikTok, and on my Instagram, any sort of questions you guys had. So I'm going to get situated here with my chains, and we're going to jump into the first topic right away. So, best-selling items. In my personal opinion, I sell plush bees the best. I use a pattern that I have personally modified. It was Hooked by Robin, I believe, but I make them so much anymore I don't use a pattern. It's all in my head. But I will probably try and insert some pictures somewhere around here. Haven't figured out editing just yet, but crocheted plush bees. So these are made out of Bernat blanket yarn and polyester stuffing, as well as safety eyes. I sell them for $15 in person, and then on my Etsy for $20. I'm going to mention all the pricing for my things because we're going to be discussing pricing later. These personally have just been my best selling because usually there's a lot of guardians, parents that will buy for little kids, whether it be their own, their nieces, nephews, any little child really just absolutely loves these. So nursery gifts, baby gifts, all that fun stuff. So those are my best-selling item. I would say the second thing are my scrunchies. So I make velvet scrunchies. I use just a regular black hair tie, and I use Bernat velvet yarn. So Bernat velvet and Bernat baby velvet yarn. As kind of the same thing, I'll link the patterns down below, but I might have to go digging for those. It's been a couple of years since I've actually used a pattern for them. I make 4 different styles, and I have about 14 colors I think they come in. They come in quite a lot. So those I sell for $4 a piece, or I will sell 4 scrunchies for $15. Usually people will do the 4 scrunchies for $15 deal. I think it's a pretty good deal in my opinion. But I guess those would be my top 2 selling. If you turn to Etsy though, it's different. So I'm not going to talk about that for this video though, because like I said, we're going to be talking about in-person and market events. So the next topic I have here is, what do you accept for payment? I use Square, which is a online credit card bank-based credit-taking company. They take card payments, which is great. They do Apple and Google Pay if you have the right products. So with that, I do cash at all my markets. I usually bring between $70 and $80 worth of cash. I use my Square, so I have a little box that's a Square reader, and that does, you can insert your card or you can tap it. An option, if you're not wanting to invest in that right away, even though I highly recommend you do, you can also get a card swipe reader that attaches into your phone. My phone does not have a headphone jack. I know there's some other phones that also do not. So because of that, they also have adapters. So if you have I believe it's an A, because I know mine has a C spot for a C cord, but I think if you have like an A, which would be your typical iPhones, the really thin one, you could get an adapter for that really well. They also have some large card readers that I have not invested in. That's more if you're gonna actually have a storefront, I think. So you can get a big one that fits an Apple iPad that then rotates around, or you can get a different style card reader that's a little thicker. The one I use is probably half an inch, a couple centimeters thick. You can get one that's at a slant, that's like 2 or 3 inches thick. That one looks a little nicer if it's in a permanent space. Mine is easy enough to just pick up, make sure it's connected to my phone. I open my app, and within the app there's a couple different options. You can put each item that you sell into the app with a specified price. That way it's an easy click. It's added into the cart, tap to pay, give them the card reader. It's the easiest way to do it. Otherwise, they do have where you can put the price in on a little keypad, and that way you can put multiple items at once, or maybe if you were bargaining with someone, you can put in a special price for them. With that though, you don't know what you're selling. So if you have those little buttons already set up to go, you can be like, they bought a washcloth and 4 scrunchies. So I can put washcloth, $3, 4 scrunchie, $15. So total is $18, and then I know in my inventory, hey, you sold 1 washcloth and 4 scrunchies. But if I were to just type in $18 into the keypad and charge the customer, all I would know is I sold $18 worth of things. I don't care if you do it that way. It's just something to know if you're preparing for it. Besides that though, Square also allows you to use Cash App. So I do not personally have a Cash App. I have a Venmo and a PayPal. Those also are 2 options that you can use to take payments at markets. However, if you do that, you really have to be careful, because I know PayPal has a family and friends, and they also have a business account. And so that way, if you get scammed, you have a way to file a complaint, or you have a way to possibly get your money back, or if something happens on their end, give them their money back. Venmo, I know, also does this, and I think there's a charge for each of them, but like I said, I usually just use cash and cards. Square has been fabulous to me, and I'm hopefully actually working on building my website on there so I can get off of Etsy, but I'm still there at the moment, so make sure you go check that out. Okay, I think that's all I have for card payments. Let's move on to how to find events. This is one of the hardest things, I think, to do as a potential vendor, especially if you do not have your brand or your name really out there. So the way I started was I found some local events to attend. Me personally, this was Milwaukee Makers Market, which I am now a proud vendor at. So I started at Milwaukee Makers Market. They sponsored a smaller event that was actually right down the street from me, and it was called the East Side Art Lot. So I went one time, I checked it out, and then I was able to apply and get accepted. When I went to talk to every vendor. I was like, hey, how's it going? Are you having some good sales? Are you getting good communication with customers and more branding and marketing? And I let them know right away that I was potentially wanting to start vending at that market, and kind of got some tips and tricks from them as well. So other vendors are going to be your go-to, especially when you go and scope out these events at markets. Because I've scoped out events, I've been able to tell which ones may, one, already have a fiber artist that kind of completes the niche, or two, knowing the crowds, you can kind of get a feel if people are there to buy or if they're just there to look. Now, just because you go to an event and scope it out and decide, yes, this is the market I want to do, does not mean that you will be able to vend right away that year, the rest of that season, or that the crowd is going to be the same as you go. Typically, so like I said, I vend mainly at Milwaukee Makers Market. They do once a month from April to December, and because of that, they are highly sought out after. They have created a brand for themselves, which thus helps me create my brand because people want to go to these events. I think a good way to start is to just do a quick web search. Markets near me, farmers markets near me. I know of a couple people that have done farmers markets as fiber artists, and they've done really well. So don't exclude anything where you can go and even just set up a booth for a day or a weekend. Usually the events are going to last a couple hours. Again, it varies. They also will have fees. So make sure you know the cost up front. Make sure you really get to know people that are vending at those places. Ask them questions and follow them on their social media. Reach out to them. You're going to make a lot of friends doing events. And if that's not your thing, that's okay. Just make sure that you really act friendly with everyone. It's good to be on everyone's good side. Although in the small business community, you can't really have a bad side with anyone. Everyone's so supportive. It's a great culture to be a part of. Next is going to be best items to make. So I'm going to speak on behalf of a crocheting vendor. The best things to make are things that are going to be small and quick to make. So I do a lot of washcloths, I do face scrubbies, I do, like I said, my scrunchies, my beads. I'll try and put a picture of my most recent table up so you can kind of get a better idea of what I'm talking about. But you just want to make items that you want to make. So even though you want to make something, you need to be prepared that it's not going to sell. And it's okay if it doesn't. Because, like this next question, I'm going to put the two together. So what doesn't sell? Honestly, if I'm being very blunt with you, everything does not sell. It's a weird thing to say, I know. Please bash me in the comments about that because I want you to prove me wrong. But every market is different. Every crowd is different. I have had events where all I have sold are bees, and I've had events where all I've sold are washcloths. There really is no way to predict what will and won't sell. So because of that, I think the best items to make are the ones you want to make. I think that should also include items you don't want to make, however, but maybe don't produce as many of them, or try to find a way to make small items that work up relatively quickly, can use not your most expensive yarn, but still look really nice on the table. Some of those things for me personally are my market bags. I love making market bags. I love the colors I can use. I love that I can use just a cheap cotton yarn that I get from Joann's and Michael's. And I really have not sold a lot of them besides to some of my close family and friends when they have come to visit me. But I have had times where there will be people that specifically will come to the event to get something from my table, which is really great to feel that you have a following and that people want to come get your stuff from you. So every market, bring everything you want to sell, make anything you want to sell. If you're trying to fill a specific niche in the market, maybe try making a lot of projects. So for instance, if you're trying to figure out if you want to make hats or if you want to go more the wearable clothes route, make a little of both, get some impressions from them, and then go from there. I know people that only make hats, scarves, and mittens and make a lot of money in terms of market money. So find your niche. Be prepared to fail. It's okay, I promise. You don't get to be better if you're not worse first. Going off of that is going to be, how do you price your items? This is the hardest question to answer. A lot of people have imposter syndrome, which includes myself. And if you've never heard that phrase before, it just means you do not, sorry, it's kind of hard. You don't know your self-worth, and you don't treat yourself like you should. Prices are too high, then tell them to go do it themselves. Because I guarantee they will come back and buy exactly what they were asking you to lower the price for. My general rule is I try to stick between $12 to $15 an hour for the time that it takes for me to do something. I take into consideration how much materials are, and that's not just, oh, I'm making this market bag. I bought a skein of yarn for it, so I'm going to consider this entire skein of yarn. I will calculate out how much this skein of yarn weighed before the project and after. Take what it weighed after and calculate the price of that based on what I paid for this. It's kind of a little tricky, and if you aren't very good at algebra, there are a couple of different ways online you can calculate it if you just want to make sure you're calculating it right. But I will say this produce bag that I'm making, produce market bag, is probably going to be about $30. I don't expect it to sell right away, but we're almost to spring. There's going to be a lot of people itching to get out at those farmers markets, itching to get outside and buy produce and go pick up flowers. So I know it will sell eventually. I'll hold on to it until it does, and if it doesn't, I'll probably just keep it then. But that is the tricky thing. It's very easy to undermine how much your time and your effort is. Like I said, and like I've been saying this entire video, be prepared to fail. So if you go to a market and you're not selling anything, everything is on your table, people are just coming, kind of giving you a nice nod, saying it, I like your work, it's really nice, and then leave, that might be the time for you to take a step back and reconsider, okay, I don't have a name for myself yet. Maybe I did price these too high. So in that case, you can either focus on sales. People love a sale. They will buy stuff because it's on sale. You can focus on sales, or you could focus on bundling items. So this is kind of the same with my scrunchies. You buy 4, you get them for $15. That's $1 off. It's going to appeal to a couple people, and those couple people will be your sale, which in this day and age is what you want. That's what you want in a market. You want as many sales as possible. You want as much positive feedback as possible. Gotta grow that business, honey. Lastly, this one's a little more serious one. It might not apply to everyone, but tax exemptions. Are you tax exempt? Do you have to get a tax number? And to be honest, I'm not a professional in this. Please do not take my word as go and do this or don't go and do this. I do not have a tax exemption number. One of the reasons is because I am not an LLC. I have not applied for one. So because I haven't applied for one, I will not be applying for a tax exemption number. I do, however, file my taxes and put all of my expenses into my deductions. So this has been all right for me so far. Although I've been doing this now for almost 3 years. Oh my gosh. This is my 3rd year doing this. So even though I have been doing vendor markets for 3 years now, I have not done a tax exemption. I save any and all of my receipts. I put them all in a spreadsheet. There's a couple different apps you can use. I use one called You Need a Budget or YNAB. I'll link that down below too if you sign up. It's a really great place, even just for your daily budgeting. It doesn't have to be for your small business in general. But keeping a budget and knowing how much you have spent throughout the year really helps when doing end of year taxes. But tax exemption, I think the best place for you to go would be some sort of accountant or some sort of professional that can help lead you in the right direction. I cannot be that for you, and I apologize for that. I wish I did know more about this, but it does not apply to me, so I do not have any personal stories with that. But besides that, those are the frequently asked questions I had. If you have any follow-up questions to my answers or any clarification, please post them in the comments below. Please give this video a like. I mentioned it, but this is my first ever video on this channel. Planning to post every Wednesday, and it's going to be rotating, so you probably won't hear another market video for a couple weeks, but if you guys really like it, maybe we'll get one sooner. I really appreciate you all. Thank you so much to all of my already followers on Instagram and TikTok, and those people in my Facebook group who helped me figure out what questions everyone had about markets. And hopefully this helps you take that leap of faith to at least get going and maybe start to scope out a couple events that you want to do within the next year. It's a scary step, but it's so worth it. Anyway, thank you all. Love you all. Be safe. See you guys.